Should I go first?
Yes.
Okay. Why can't we just keep them at that age? I never knew. I'm not sure if even she knew that about
No, I was
herself.
planning to be a bad mom.
Good for cutting. Yeah, okay, thank you so much.
Dennis really enjoys taking the kids out. We live in the East and he doesn't mind driving to all corners of Singapore to bring them to a new playground or to a new attraction for them to have fun.
And for Adrienne, I found that I realized that she's actually a very good mom. She's really very patient, very hardworking with the kids. She would like sleep late, wake up early, prepare food, and do a lot of fun stuff with the kids as well. So that was something surprising that I never knew. I'm not sure if even she knew that about herself.
No, I was planning to be a bad mom.
Well, Shan, I think for me, brings a lot of groundedness and stability. I really appreciate the fact that as sometimes I can be very spontaneous, she provides me the sense of being rooted and grounded. So I really do appreciate that about her.
So like Ray said, he's the spontaneous one, I'm the more grounded one in the relationship. But actually I really appreciate his spontaneity because I believe it brings a different element to the relationship.
So Andy's a very forward-looking person. So for me, living with him and making a family together, I've learned to become less angsty even as I consider more deeply when we calibrate our decisions and actions, and also to really base all this on what the future outcome we want is.
Appreciation for me is perhaps the number one thing that I see has brought our relationship closer together, and what I've learned in this relationship as well.
We actually make time, like we go for walks, sometimes cycling, sometimes running. But as simple as like, at the end of the day, go for a tea session just at the mama's shop in front of the house to unwind and catch up with each other about our day.
Yeah, I think it's important that we find that we time because most of the time we will be engaged with a lot of activities, day-to-day activities, and then just find this we time, at least a 30-minute session. That's what we do Then we talk and then we understand each other. Then that's where we support each other, yeah. To find balance, I think it's difficult and perhaps it's almost impossible. And I think we learn to accept that, right? And I think what we are working for is to find harmony, right? And when we find harmony, I think that's when we try to fill each other's gap, support each other in different ways. Sometimes my wife do more of certain things, or sometimes I do more of certain things, And then once we reach that harmony, I think that's what we are going for. And of course, as of right now, I have to be honest that we are still working on it. But to look for balance, it's not really easy. Yeah. I can remember two instances. The first one was when we were carrying our daughter around and we were at a shopping center and suddenly she needed to poop and the poop was all over the place, right? And we were rushing around to look for a place to actually change her and there were no proper changing facilities. But it was something that we just learned on the go. You just use whatever you have in whatever situation. And the other incident that I can remember was we were totally ill-prepared for the first time we brought her out. When she just started walking, we were in Sentosa and she saw this water fountain and she just ran towards it and she got completely wet. So we learned along the way to be a lot more prepared in the stuff that we bring out with us.
For me, it was our first trip with Emma overseas. It was an overnight flight. We planned it such that it would be overnight, thinking she would fall asleep. But she didn't. It was a 7-hour flight. The next morning, when it was Adelaide, we got up, she started throwing up on the car journey. So it was quite scary for us, having her not so well, being a bit ill overseas, not knowing where amenities were. But thankfully, things worked out. She settled, I think, after a while, and we had a good trip.
Yeah, that was quite scary, right? It was our first time.
You don't have to know everything. and it is a journey. And of course, I feel a lot of patience.
They want to experience a lot of things, and because of that, our position as parents, right, is to allow them to explore, but at the same time be ready to help them when it's needed. So from our perspective, it's like, I want to try this and I want to try that, but when I need help, please help me.
With both our kids, it was quite different, the experiences and the challenges they faced. I would say that a lot of times we didn't overcome them, but I guess we learned to manage how we worked it out with each of our kids. So for our elder girl, she experienced bullying through her 6 years in school. And it was something that was pretty new to me because I'm a very different person from my daughter. And it's one of the things I learned in parenthood, that you don't expect your child to be a carbon copy of you. They may look like you, but personality-wise and how they're built up, it's very different. And my daughter is very different from me. In fact, both are.
As the children transition into young adulthood, one of the things we have to consider is to respect their choices more and more. Of course, we'll listen to their rationale and also share our opinions judiciously. But what really matters is that we continue to connect with them, both mentally and physically. So when my eldest was traipsing all over Europe during her exchange trip, I would keep in touch with her via Facebook and Messenger. And then now with another child living in Abu Dhabi, we often have Zoom dinners together.
Over the years, the way we engage our children has changed. But our intent of demonstrating love and respect has remained unchanged. We continue to shower our love to them and look at bringing out the best in them. We believe more in teaching the values more than the issue itself. So as they grow up, we open up more boundaries to have those discussions with them, to look at how best for us to work things out together.
This sentence, can I change the sentence? Because I think the sentence is a sentence of regret. So if I can change that sentence, well, what I would change is, now that I've known this, how can I proceed? You see? And of course, each experience is about learning from one mistake to another, and we strive to not to do these mistakes again, right? And so that we can improve whatever situation that we have experienced before.
Yeah.
If only I had known that we were going to have children, we have 2 now, we would have bought a bigger house at the start with more rooms and maybe a place closer to a future primary school maybe. We would have just saved a lot of hassles down the road.
Yeah, totally.
If we had known that, if we have given our children the good basic foundation of life and virtues and values, then we do not need to be so angsty even as they grow up, because we are already preemptive parents.
If only I would have known that the most important thing my children need is my presence, I would have practiced being more present. And in being present, recognize that that is one of the biggest needs that they actually yearn for, that they may not be able to articulate. Just your attention and your presence, I think, is one of the most important things that I've been learning.
For me, I guess, if only I realized that many choices I had made had impact on my kids. I wanted to be a mom who could do everything. I could work, I could volunteer, I could be a mom, I could be a wife, I could be a daughter, and I actually pride myself to be able to do everything. But on hindsight now, when I have conversations with my daughter many years down the road, I realized that, oh, there were impact to those decisions.
The advice I would give is to just go with it. I think especially if you're a first-time parent, you'd read up a lot, you try and prepare, and you'd have grand plans or ideas on what you want to do, how you want to raise your child. But child comes along and things usually don't go as planned. And I think it's important to just flow with it. There are certain guidelines or principles you may or may not want to abide by, but be flexible, be adaptable, and yeah, just roll with it.
What I would say is that just love each other, right? If you want to make problems big, they can be big. If you want to keep problems small, they can also be small. learn to just be patient with one another. And with children, you know, things just become a lot more tense. But that is because we love our children very much, and so we tend to project whatever frustrations, you know, onto our spouses. So I think with young children, it's important to love your spouse first and foremost, because the children will see that, and then to also just learn to be more patient with one another.
There's a lot expected of our children. When they go to school, you know, they have a lot of demands on them. Keep up, keep the pace, learn this, learn that, do the homework. If they come home and all they are experiencing is, have you done your homework? Have you done this? Have you done that? They can only experience demands on them. And home is no longer a place of refuge. Is no longer a place of rest. And that's a scary existence for me when I reflect on what it is like to be a child growing up in Singapore today.
I believe what they wanted to hear from me, the first question wouldn't be, is there homework? So something that I'm trying to do differently now is to ask her, how is she? How was your day? Did anything exciting happen today? So it's more about her than the work.
The teenage phase, I believe, is a very challenging phase. They're going through a lot of changes. As parents, we have to learn to be empathetic. Maybe it's as simple as giving them the support, and sometimes it's just about being present. Basically, let them know that you are there, you know.
I mean, I have to be honest, sometimes we feel like, why can't we just keep them at that age, you know? But I think we have to accept that our teens nowadays, they learn a lot more things than what we had when we were teenagers. And I think what we need to do is we need to learn about what they are like. For example, you know, they like TikTok, we learn TikTok, but we don't have to be involved in it. Just know why it is important to them. Be there when they need the help.
As parents, I think it's very important that we also begin to look at our world without the children intrinsically involved all the time, and explore our world as well. And for us, spending time together was important. So we took up the hobby of ballroom and Latin dancing so that we explore something exciting together and at the same time spend lots of time with each other.
You know, the advice that I would give to any young couples is that think of marriage and parenting as a journey that has its ups as well as its downs. I think the important thing is not to sweat over those small things, but to look at it from a whole longer perspective and enjoy the journey as the couple with the children learn together in this journey.
Yes, and raising children is a privilege.